This is the Creatures of the Night podcast, and I'm Chris.
And I'm Wendy.
So, Wendy, I don't know how many people actually go onto our Instagram television account. It's IGTV.
Right.
To watch our videos. I only see IGTV things that other people are doing when I'm scrolling through Instagram. And so I assume that's how people find our stuff is just by scrolling. And they're just like, oh, what's this? And they just watch it.
Yeah.
Instead of let's just sit down and pop on the IGTV and take a scroll through. I don't know if people actually do that or not. I don't. So
no, I didn't even think that's how that worked. I thought it was just an avenue for you to have longer videos.
No, but you can. So if I load things from my phone, I have to go through the IGTV app. When I load our videos and stuff from the videos that Wendy makes every week with the podcast, I do it on my computer. And on my computer, it's way easier. It's just not as clunky. I don't know why the app and my phone just are having a huge battle right now. And Instagram kicks me out on a daily basis. They're like, we're not really sure it's you. Verify for me. So I get kicked out every day. And then I can't even load. It just doesn't sync up anymore. But anyways, if you do go to IGTV, it is kind of like here are all those videos out there and you can kind of scroll through it and see it. I just didn't know if regular people did that or if I'm having to do that just to load shit through the app.
Well, I know it's one of the tabs, if you're looking at a person's account.
Yeah.
Which, I don't think a lot of people do that. They just get their information by scrolling and watching the stories and stuff. But if you zone in and you're going to stalk somebody and you go to their profile, then there's different tabs for you to hit. And one of them, yes, is the TV. So you can watch all those videos are lumped together. But I don't know how many people do that. So.
Right. Yeah, that's where I am too. So the funny thing is that when I load the videos that Wendy puts together from the podcast through my computer, I have to also load an image to go along with the video. So you don't have to. Actually, it'll let the preview image be the beginning image of the video. But because ours is the intro with our Creatures of the Night logo and it's the haunted house.
So it's the same thing for every single video.
Well, it is the same thing for every single video, which, okay, I don't really care too much, but it's the sizing. It's disproportionate because on Instagram TV, it's long ways, when you hold your phone long ways versus holding your phone horizontally. So our logo and design is set up, basically for YouTube viewers. So it's the full screen. And when it comes across on IGTV, it's you get some words, a house and some words, and it doesn't make sense. So I have to go every single time and just find another picture, which is fun. But the thing that kind of breaks my heart is I find some really awesome pictures and I think they get missed because I think just from going to Facebook to make sure that this shit actually worked, that it loaded, it just goes right to the video. It just shows, did it in, here's the music, here's the Creatures of the Night thing. And Instagram pretty much looks the same way. It's just when you're, again, scrolling through the feed, you see the video. Now, if you're looking through our lengthy picture wall, like Wendy was saying, if you want to stalk us and you go to our section, you could see all of those other images that I was talking about. But I think other than going to IGTV, you don't see those other pictures.
You don't. I can tell you. Yeah. So I don't even stalk our own account really all that much. So I've not directly looked at the page that just has all the videos on it for IGTV. But I'm the one that has to go onto Facebook and then share it to other groups and stuff because Chris isn't really on Facebook at all. So I go in there and when I'm starting to share it, I'll see this little flash of an image.
Oh, but it's a blip.
Yeah. What's that movie where they talk about it's Fight Club, isn't
Fight
it?
Club.
At the end, the penis shot. It is like that, except for they're not penises.
You're like, did I just see that?
I'm like, what the fuck did I just see? And then it took me a minute. I realized, oh, she must be putting a thumbnail to it like I do on YouTube. Weird that you don't see it when you're looking at it.
Right.
You would think that if it's sitting there and you're not watching the video, you'd be able to see the thumbnail, but you don't. But you do under IGTV. Anyways, yes, I have always thought that they are hilarious and can't wait to see that little flash of image, but it's just for 2 seconds and that's totally how I've been enjoying them. It's just the flash of the little ghost image. I'll call it a ghost image because it just pops up. But every single time I think about Fight Club.
I love that. I love Fight Club. And that is such a good analogy because when I was going through Facebook, I was like, oh my God, they never even see this other picture. It's just a quick oh, what was that? Did I miss something? Did it hiccup? What the hell? So because of that, I have to show you this image that I loaded today. I was going through and putting some stuff up there Actually, there's a much longer story to it. I listened to this one clip Wendy put together and I loved it so much. So I tried to just toss it out there onto Twitter. It's just like hey, check this out. This is great. And my Twitter account also froze up. So it tried to post it all day long Friday and didn't realize that, but it had drained my battery like completely. I didn't get to use my phone at all Friday because I was slammed. And by the time I left work, it was at 12%. It's because it was trying to post this failed YouTube clip. I don't know what's going on with my phone. But anyways, regardless, I was looking for pictures because, okay, Twitter screwed me over, basically. I'll just put it on Instagram. And I wanted an inmate picture to go along with it was the Hank, Are You Here With Me clip. So I start looking at inmate pictures and dude, I found this guy who is so creepy.
I personally have a picture of this guy, but since I didn't talk about him at all,
yes!
I haven't even seen the photo you're going to show me yet, but I'm certain I know what it is because it's in the museum.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Well, okay, let me put this on so that you can see it. It is the creepiest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, that guy.
That's him, right?
That
yes! Devil eyes, dude, right?
Where are his eyeballs?
Him.
They're not even there. That is just whiteness.
Isn't he a beauty queen? This man was like, I cannot believe this. And yeah, you didn't mention him at all because his name is Pete Spence, aka Elliot Larkin Ferguson. Mm-hmm. And Wikipedia doesn't have anything really other than that and this image. And
that was enough, man. If you see that motherfucker walking around the Yuma Territorial Prison, leave.
Do not mess with him.
Do not stay. Yeah, there was all kinds of crazy stuff in that museum, and I ended up not sending it to you because I had to email you everything for some reason.
Because of my phone, I'm sure.
So I just tried to get it down to like the bare minimum. But yeah, there was some artwork in that museum that was quite interesting. Yeah, it was good. I got one of a guy being hung, like at the moment he dropped. They have this picture inside the museum. Oh, where'd I just send that? I hope I sent that to you. I don't think I did. I don't know who I just texted that to. Oh, it was you. Okay.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Oh, I just got it.
But yeah, that guy, he's something else. Are you going to keep him up the whole time? Because I think I feel threatened.
That's hilarious. No, I'm about to change him because I got one more to show you.
Okay.
Yeah. So this one came across. I haven't used him as one of the blips, but I might still. I mean, it's not over yet.
Shit out of people.
He's frightening, isn't he?
Yes.
So then I found another one that made me happy. So this guy made me terrified. This other one was amazing. It's a dude with like the biggest, bushiest handlebar mustache that you've ever seen. And he was a prisoner. Look at this. Of course, the Skype cuts off half, but you only need the mustache. This is all I'm talking about here.
Just all mustache is fine. How did he keep it like that?
Right, in the jail?
What was he using in that mustache?
Well, now we know. We said that they didn't have any toilet paper.
Oh my God, that is gross.
Do you know who this is?
No.
That's Buckskin Frank.
Is it? I didn't even... Yeah, I didn't even have any... I don't think I had any pictures of him. Definitely not that one.
Not like this. He had a couple of pictures. Let me see if I can... Yeah, like handlebar.
Well, that's because it's a handlebar mustache. Anyways.
Right. But there were a couple pictures of him with and without the mustache. But that one, like I said, after old creepy eyes, once I saw that, I felt much better about everything. I was like, okay.
Now the place felt silly again.
Yeah, it did.
They're really big about those kinds of mustaches down in Tombstone, though. Every year they have a competition.
No way. Seriously?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's fun. I'll have to work on mine for the next time. For the next time I go out there, I'll have to bring up my manly voice. So yeah, it has nothing to do with my story. I just thought that was fun. Something that I came across while I was, doing the Instagram videos. And sad, like I said, you don't get to see some of these amazing pictures. I found a really great picture of Pearl Hart in jail, which I'm sure you saw from going to the museum. So I used her with one of the videos that Wendy put together. So it's fun for me because it's almost like kind of like my way of visiting the museum. I have to search for the pictures. But like I said, my story has nothing at all whatsoever to do with that. Just a little fun beginning there for the story.
Yeah, and for anybody that follow us on, I don't know that you get it on Instagram at all. I know you do on Facebook at least. Anybody that follows us on Facebook has always wondered, what the hell did I just see? That's what it is.
That's what it is. There you go. There's the explanation. So my story actually takes place in the creepy little state of Ohio. And that's because Ohio has a rather large number of really strange sites that are worthy of exploring in case you didn't already know that. There's everything from beautiful old historic haunted homes and jails, abandoned poor farms, mysterious theme parks, and terrifying tunnels. Everything there seems to have a dark backstory, which leads it to being, in my opinion, one of the creepiest states out there.
Yep, right up there with Iowa.
Oh, yeah. Yep. They are like shaking hands on the creepy factor.
They're like cousins or something.
Yeah. So there's just so much more to Ohio than one would think. And what I'm going to tell you about today perfectly fits into the category of things not always being what they seem. Of course, over time, a variety of terrifying tales have been woven into this one location, and it consists of abuse, fire, and the paranormal. And despite the various wild stories that have formed over the years, the true tale is actually more haunting than fiction. Oops. I hope I didn't delete that. Now, unfortunately, there's really not much left of this place for you to see today. And that's because it burnt down a really long time ago. And of course, vandals got to it and wrecked the place, stealing what they could and adding a ton of very colorful artistic creations of their own.
Speaking of penises.
Right, exactly.
Mixed with some Satan symbols.
Yeah, of course. Always with the very colorful renditions of penises in abandoned places. I don't know why.
Oh, remember that show that is Obi-Wan riding a motorcycle across the country, right?
No.
Ewan McGregor? I thought I told you about that.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Ewan McGregor doing like a cross-country like thing. But they're in somewhere and they're visiting this salt place or something, like where there's just natural salt on the ground or something. Anyways, there's this old bus out there and people have drawn on the bus and whatnot. So Ewan tells his friend Charlie, you know you got to do it. And they draw a fucking penis on there.
It's just some unwritten code between males that they just know it. They see an abandoned anything and they just know that this has to be done. It's like claiming territory, right? Like how dogs mark their spots.
Yeah, it's like their way of peeing on abandoned things. How
I claim
weird.
it as mine. This is the best penis image that I could procure. It's not mine.
I feel like I may have failed as a mother. I did not teach my children this, so.
Well, I think that we wouldn't have known because, it's only a male thing. So,
it's like
unwritten code.
Secret.
Secret society and all of that.
Interesting.
So no, when you said, did I tell you about the Obi-Wan show riding across country? And I was like, no. And then you said Ewan McGregor and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you did tell me.
Yeah, I did forget that they are actually making an Obi-Wan show. So
right. What insider scoop do you have for me?
I know.
Not only have we just learned about this man code, but what else do you have for me? So before we talk any more about this abandoned location's current state, let me first tell you about the legend that hooked me into yet another location in Ohio. So the story goes that in the late 1800s, there once stood a large building in Vermilion, Ohio, called Gore Orphanage. The orphanage was said to have been run by Old Man Gore, who was notorious for abusing and mistreating the children under his care. Many believe that he killed some children and had their bodies buried around the orphanage. One evening, a young boy accidentally set a fire in one of the dorms, but instead of helping the children escape, Old Man Gore abandoned the building, leaving almost 200 helpless children behind to burn to death.
Yeah, well, it was their fault. They started it. I'm totally joking.
I like how you're like, yeah, and don't call him old man. Geez, he had to deal with all those fuckers. No, but today all that remains of the orphanage is the foundation, as well as a few of the sandstone pillars. If you wander here at night, you can still hear the crackles of the fire and the terrified screams of the deceased children. Wander further back in the woods towards the river, and you will find the tombstones of the other dead children glowing red like embers.
Ooh.
Yeah, spooky, right? Ooh, that's why I have the forest behind me here. Ooh, it's my campfire story. Now, the orphanage that was there was actually named Light of Hope Orphanage, not Gore Orphanage, as the legend suggests. It was established in 1902 by a religious zealot named Reverend Johann Sprunger, and the orphanage was located on Gore Road. The road was originally laid out along the boundary line that divided Lorain County from its western neighbor, Huron County, though a surveying error was discovered and a thin strip of land that resembled the Gore of address had to be annexed to Lorain. So just to be clear, because I still didn't even know what that meant, but we're going back to the early 1900s. And apparently everyone knew what a Gore of a dress looked like. So if you can just imagine a dress, imagine with me, it's the bottom part that kind of bells out. So, yes, exactly. Whatever.
If you
Cool.
say so.
There you go. Due to the popular association of the institution with the road, the name of the street came to be known as Gore Orphanage Road, which turned out to be a rather fitting name for a location with a hellish history. So, Johann Sprunger and his wife, Katerina, moved to the Vermilion area after their former orphanage in Bern, Indiana, was destroyed by fire. Now, the Sprungers lost 2 of their former Indiana businesses to fire as well. And I mean, I'm no insurance investigator, but yeah,
Suspect.
Very suspect. Yeah, I might have been trying to keep an eye on those 2 clowns. Just saying. And perhaps this is why the Sprungers moved from Indiana to Ohio, but also just before they left, more bad things happened. They lost their 7-year-old daughter, Hillegonda, and their son, Edmund.
These names, man.
Oh, yeah. There's some good ones in this one. I got some good names for you. Many believe that it's the deaths of their children that ultimately sparked their strange and bizarre ways. But before you pull out your jump to conclusions, Matt, there is a little more mystery to the Sprungers, and that's due in part by records. Those silly little things. So records indicate that Katerina was a Sprunger prior to her marriage to Johann. And also the documents from the Bern facility indicated that the orphanage was run by brother and sister Sprunger rather than Mr. and Mrs. So there's that.
Okay.
And in the fire in Bern, Indiana, their former orphanage, well, 3 orphan girls were also reported to have perished. So either the couple had really bad luck or was really careless around an open flame. But now back to the new orphanage site, which is just outside of Vermilion, Ohio. Now, this location consisted of 4 sets of farm buildings and covered about 543 acres. And one of the buildings on the property was an abandoned mansion. This one-time magnificent Greek revival house was built in the mid-19th century by Joseph Swift, who was a very successful farmer. Its many rooms were appointed with elaborate furnishings, ornate woodwork, marble columns, and other lavish decorations. But bad luck bestowed the Swift family when their 5-year-old daughter, Tryphenia, died, and shortly after, Swift's 24-year-old son, He-Man, also died.
What? Oh, I love this family. Well, this is sad.
Well, yeah, it is sad, but I'm telling you, these names are great, right?
Yes.
So, like I said, bad luck. Swift's fortunes also started drying up due to his poor investments in the railroad business. So Swift ends up selling the home to Nicholas Wilbur, who, of all things, happened to be a renowned spiritualist. At this time, mysterious rituals and seances started being held regularly in the secluded mansion, and they were said to have conjured the spirits of deceased children. I would imagine that they probably had a badass coffee table similar to what Wendy has behind her. It's a huge Ouija board. But like the Swift family, the Wilbur family also suffered a great tragedy while living in the Swift mansion. The Wilburs lost 4 of their grandchildren due to diphtheria, and these poor babies all died within 6 days of each other. This was between January 13th and January 19th in 1893.
That's fucking horrible.
Yeah, that is so fucking horrible.
It's like common for, kids to not make it back in these times.
Right.
But one would start to think, maybe this house got some bad juju.
Yep. Yeah. That's kind of where I'm going with this. The whole story is what I'm telling you right here. This place has some bad juju. Mr. Wilbur ended up helping the Sprungers build the Light of Hope orphanage on that property after losing his own grandchildren, while Mrs. Wilbur was said to have gone insane over the tragedy. That's understandable.
Mm-hmm.
Eliza, she ended up passing away in 1899, and Nicholas Wilbur died February 26, 1901. So now on to 1903, when most of Swift's Hollow was now taken over by Reverend Sprunger, who, of course, is going to run yet another orphanage because it worked out so well for him the first time.
Yeah, after you kill a couple of kids, you just shouldn't be allowed to do that again.
Yeah, you would think that maybe no. Or maybe conscience just kind of, maybe I shouldn't do that again. Nope, not with this one.
He's live and learn type thing. I'll do it better next time.
I'll do it better next time. There you go. That's what he was thinking. So Reverend Sprunger says that the Light of Hope Orphanage was to become a new self-sustaining religious compound community built for the purpose of caring for and giving farming vocational training to neglected children. That was a mouthful.
How old are these children?
Younglings. Speaking of Star Wars, isn't that what Obi-Wan says? He's killing younglings.
Yeah.
So He and his followers were all said to be God-fearing Christians. They helped build a chapel room in the boys' schoolhouse, which allowed for frequent religious ceremonies, and up to 120 children all resided within the orphanage at one time. Boys lived on one farm named the Hughes Farm, while the girls all lived on the Howard Farm. The orphanage also housed a small printing press, which was used to print their own brainwashing material. I mean, school books. My bad. But soon, dark rumors started to plague the Light of Hope orphanage. Orphan children would run away from the home, which meant wading through the river to escape to Vermilion. The children would tell horrific stories of abuse, neglect, and that they were only fed the meat from sick cattle if they were fed at all.
Ooh.
Yeah, delicious. The children's rooms were infested with rats and vermin, and they complained of the many times that rats would crawl into their beds and bite them as they lay asleep. Also, there was apparently only one bathtub for the boys, which they were allowed to use once every 2 weeks, and they had to use the same water.
Oh.
Yeah, and they're on a farm. Like I said, it's self-sustaining, so they're getting funky every day.
Oh, yeah. Because it sounds like a labor camp, for one thing.
Yes.
So, I mean, they're working very hard. Kids are gross and dirty anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And the older they get, the smellier they are, too. So
this is so true. And just imagine, they had to wash themselves in the filthy water that had been there prior to them. And it's horrible. I mean, you know right away that it's filthy. It's just a bad scene all the way around.
Yeah, I'm waiting to hear that many died from disease and stuff. But at the same time, I'm not saying that you can let your kids live in filth and they'll be like Superman, they can't die or something. Right. But I mean, I guess they do build up immunities better than older people. I don't know. You keep
That's
going.
What I hear. Yeah.
This doesn't make sense to me that they can go through all of this and not just be like dying left and right from disease and infection.
Well, I have one small answer for you, and that would be prayer, Wendy. Because at a place like Light of Hope Orphanage, any pain, illness, or disease were to be treated strictly by prayers.
Okay, I see.
In 1909, an investigation was conducted, and the Sprungers admitted to the allegations against them. But because the state of Ohio didn't have any laws or regulations pertaining to operations of such institutions, nothing formally could be done about the conditions at the orphanage.
So they roll up to the door and they're like, yeah, so a few escapees from your camp here said that it's fucking disgusting. You're working them to death and you're pretty mean to them, I'm sure. And they're just like, yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is correct. I mean, we do feed them. And they're like, yeah, it says here that it's meat from sick cattle.
Yeah.
And wait, we also boil corn for them in the pots that we also boil soiled underwear. So we're feeding them, right?
Yeah, well, the really hot water will clean away any impurities, right?
Mm-hmm.
No. Okay, maybe not. But yeah, I mean, I guess they thought that if they go and say something, because they had to know what the law was. So they had to know that there was no laws against child abuse, basically.
Yeah, I think so.
So they're going up there just to point out, people are talking. And they're like, yeah, we don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, we're doing you guys a favor. We've got all these fucking kids here. I mean, shit.
Jesus loves us, and he's fine with everything we're doing.
And they are praying every day that things go better for them. They're praying for the sins that brought them here in the first place and blah, blah, blah. You know how that goes. Okay. So, yeah, it's not good. I can joke about it because this happened so long ago and there's now laws in place that prevent this sort of shit from happening. You just hope that people aren't as cruel as they used to be.
Yeah, sadly some are, but there are laws.
There are laws.
If you can get to help, then you should be defended.
Yeah, nowadays.
Yes, so we're not joking about kids being abused. We're joking about the fact that it was okay.
Like Wendy said, the law rolled up and they're like, yep, and what? These are true statements.
All right. See you later.
Now, the printing building of Light of Hope Orphanage burned down during the morning of November 22nd, 1910. And there were children that perished in that fire. Mr. Sprunger died in 1911, and the doors of the orphanage were permanently closed by July of 1916. The remaining children of Light of Hope Orphanage were either dispersed throughout the community or returned to their relatives or guardians, and the nightmare was said to have finally been over for those poor children. It was exactly 13 years after it had first opened.
I highly suspect that they set these fires to get rid of dead bodies.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe they were collecting insurance money or something like that, but you said like those 3 little girls died or whatever. I mean, like...
And then they split. right?
Yeah. And then they up and move. They're not just like, it was a mistake, it was an accident. They're like, I gotta go.
It is suspicious, and that's why I put the dates in that order so that you could see that, okay, the shit's starting to hit the fan, people are talking, here comes the popo. Now all of a sudden, ooh, there's a fire. And then I think that it just, timing didn't really work out for them like they were hoping, because Mr. Springer, he croaks, and now Sister Springer is kind of like, well, shit, what the hell do I do? I guess, bye-bye, kids. Go on back home. Or wherever the fuck you can go. I don't care. I gotta go.
Just lets them loose.
Yeah,
they don't care. They're like, we'll go live in the woods.
Right, exactly. Thank you. Great. Best day ever. Reverend Springer's body was buried in a cemetery back in Indiana, but many think that his soul still wanders the ground of Light of Hope, the religious compound that he founded on Gore Orphanage Road. Katarina Springer moved back to Indiana after the death of Johann and never returned to the area. So then Pelham Hooker Blossom of Cleveland bought the orphanage property, leased it to farmers for a period of time, and then they finally just sold the land off. So, okay, sure, that alone is enough to set up a legend like what we have here at Swift's Hollow. But after I looked a little deeper into the history, I learned a lot more. So now let's back up to March 4th, 1908, to the site of a very tragic fire, the Collinwood School Fire, also known as the Lakeview School Fire. And this was one of the deadliest school disasters in United States history.
Wow.
Yeah. Hold on a minute. Let me just change that for you.
Ooh,
that's what it looked like.
That's not good, but
yeah.
My weird self is like, ooh, that's a pretty building.
Yeah, right. It's a neat picture. So even though the ultimate cause of the fire was left undetermined, the school's design was said to have been the ultimate fail once the fire got started. It was determined afterwards that Lakeview School's masonry exterior acted as a chimney, sucking flames upward as the wooden interior burned. Open stairways and the absence of fire breaks only further enhanced the chimney effect, and Lakeview only had 2 exits.
Ooh, shit. That big ass building.
Yeah, I know, right? Look at that big ass place. While the fire had quickly blocked the front door, children all rushed to the rear door to escape, but in such terrible panic, they stumbled and fell while the others climbed on top of one another, forming a pile that completely blocked the exit. One of the teachers that remained in an attempt to help the children was even stampeded in the panic.
Oh, yeah. I bet probably some other kids and stuff, too. Just pure chaos. I wonder if they mean as a chimney effect because there's so many fucking windows. So it's vented like on all the sides to just let the air in.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on here. And yeah, just running through that scenario, it reminded me a lot of what happened at the MGM Grand.
Yeah.
You know, I did read that they had practiced fire drills in the school, and they were actually proceeding in that manner to try and get out safely. But once they got downstairs and they couldn't get out the front, I mean, it got chaotic very quickly. And little kids got stampeded by the bigger kids, and it just went fucking crazy. There was one classroom of students that made it out safely that actually climbed out a window.
Yeah, I was about to say, why didn't they start going out the windows or something? Because, I mean, in building this large, it should have like 4 or 6 exits, you know, on the corners and stuff like that. So you have other options.
Should, yeah.
But they do have all these fucking windows, and it doesn't look like that big of a drop. I mean, but if they're doing what they think they're supposed to do, and then they just happen to get stuck in this crowd.
Yeah, that's how it happened. So Collinwood's small volunteer fire department and horse-drawn engines arrived too late and were ill-equipped to battle the raging inferno. In less than 1 hour, the 3 floors and the roof of the Lakeview School collapsed into the basement, leaving only a hollowed-out brick ruin, and almost half of the children in the building perished.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So the final tally of casualties from the Lakeview School fire was 172 children and 3 adults. Through a very difficult identification process, sometimes aided only by a scrap of clothing, 153 kids were identified and sent home for their funeral arrangements. However, 19 of the little ones were beyond identification.
Mm-hmm.
Accusations began almost immediately, aided by the newspapers, who, of course, helped to spread the many possibilities. This led many to believe that the building's own janitor, Fritz Herder, had been careless and inattentive in his duties by running the boiler too hot. But Herder also lost 4 of his own children in the fire and was severely burned while trying to rescue one of his own kids during the fire. So, if he had anything to do with it, he paid for it greatly.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it was an accident. It's not like he's going to do it on purpose with his kids in there.
Right, exactly. That would be the idea. But these people were just so, I mean, they were hurt. They didn't know what to do. This was a rumor already being spread by the newspapers. So, they wanted,
They want to blame somebody.
yeah, they wanted their kids back. They couldn't bring their kids back. So they wanted to move forward with, yeah, the grieving process. And to them, it made sense to blame somebody. So the town had detained Herder for a while. And though this was done in order to protect him, because they feared the town's residents would lynch him, the town actually saw this as meaning he was actually suspected of the crime. After an investigation, the resulting cause was said to have been from heating pipes that ran alongside exposed wooden joists, the fire ultimately being blamed on conditions of the school's design, and no one was legally held accountable for it, which of course didn't settle well at all with the entire fucking town.
No, find the fucking architect that said that this was okay.
Yeah, right.
If you want to be mad at somebody.
Yeah,
Imagine he put up a few more I would assume, put up a few more buildings.
I hope not, but you're probably right. I'm sure he did. Hell, they probably had another school right down the street that was built by the same guy, So the parents condemned the quickness of the investigation, and they objected to their refusal to hold Herder or anybody else accountable. This ultimately left the families who had lost their loved ones hurt, angry, and unable to find closure. The 19 unidentified children, along with teachers Grace Fisk and Catherine Wheeler, were buried at Lakeview Cemetery on Monday, March 9th. The school's ruins were eventually torn down, and it was immediately planned for the new school to be built in the exact same place.
No, negative. I mean, what year is it that there isn't another open space that you could put this in?
There was. So after over a year of dispute, the state paid for the land where the Lakeview School had stood, and the town turned it into a memorial garden instead. The new Collinwood Memorial School was built to the highest standards of fire resistance at the time and constructed on an adjacent lot. It's probably like right there. You could build it right there.
Yeah.
So, however, this huge tragedy brought about the end of the town of Collinwood. As a result of the fire and the inability to sufficiently guarantee fire safety resources for its residents, voters approved an annexation of Collinwood into Cleveland shortly after the fire. So the majority of the families of the Collinwood area, which is now East Cleveland, moved away. They traveled further west of Cleveland in an attempt to flee from those horrid memories, which were understandably much too difficult for any of them to bear. But what's really bizarre is that this relocation took the Collinwood residents to the town of Vermillion, a place already quite familiar with tragedy and the loss of lives.
The loss of young lives, too.
Young lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Lots of children, again. So I thought that was so weird that they packed up and they're just like, we're going to go to the countryside. Fuck all this. And it's like, that place? You guys picked that place? So what happened is the story of the school that burnt down in a different town that had a very large number of deaths became intertwined with this small area just by chance. Old Man Gore was created based on the stories most likely coming from the heartbroken parents still clinging to the idea that Herder set their children's building on fire. That, of course, and looping in the history and admitted abuse brought on by the Springers at their orphanage. And oh yeah, let's not forget the Wilbur family that actually made claims of contacting souls of deceased children. All the area really needed after that was a creepy name, and bam-o, you've got yourself the perfect setting for a legendary haunted road. Of course, there are ghostly reports and hauntings tied to this location still, such as the many paranormal investigators who claim the spirits at the ruins along Gore Orphanage Road are actually residual. They have commented on seeing ghostly apparitions, balls of light, haunting voices, and quick visions of children. Others have reported hearing the cries of children at the ruins of Swift Mansion, which brings me to a little spot just up a ways from Gore Orphanage Road, which seems to be connected. This would be the Crybaby Bridge, which is over the Vermilion River. And from what I read, it is something that you'll end up crossing over on your way to the ruins of Swift's Hollow. So let me show you that one. Oh, my head's in the way. That's it back there.
Oh, there's kind of a low bridge there.
It is a low bridge. Yeah, it's the perfect setting for paranormal investigations. Now, this bridge has earned a reputation as Crybaby Bridge due to the reports of screams and cries that you'll hear in the woods surrounding it. Others have reported seeing children darting away from their vehicles as if running away from them. So this is a creepy little area. As you can see, it's kind of creepy out in the woods like it is.
Yeah, it's like a single road too. So is it like one way?
I think 2 cars could probably fit like on the road, but probably not on the bridge. They probably have to like wait, go over.
Yeah, there's spots going out to Madeira Canyon that are like that you have to take turns on the bridges and stuff, but the other road is wider. But I hate like tiny little roads like that because you're always just expecting that somebody's going to come, and then there's going to be that awkward moment of like, okay,
yeah, let's play the dance. Who goes first?
Who goes first, or who's like gonna get off the road enough?
Right.
And then there's some people that are like, we're fine. We have plenty of space. We can both fit. And it's like, no, we can't.
No, we can't. No, we can't. So in Brighton, Tennessee, we didn't have like a bridge where it was one lane, or if we did, maybe I just didn't find it. But you had to go through these little tiny tunnels that were only enough room for one vehicle. So what my parents always told me to do is as you get close, just start honking the shit out of your horn. Yeah. So if anyone's coming through, I just get up there and just honk, even though I can see, because you get up there and then it has this cool honking echo effect. And it's like, wah, wah, wah. I hate it for those people that live right over there by that thing. They got to be like,
I looked at a house right on the other side of it because it was all old and stuff like that and still had original features on the inside. And it was in my price range. And I was like, yes. But it was on that busy street and you had like a shared driveway and it would have been a lot of work. But
it was actually, yes. Speaking of old houses on busy streets that require a lot of work, my dream home, I went and checked it out again today. And I did a little walksy aroundsy. And I think we could actually manage the repairs. I don't know. We'll still have to like actually investigate it. But you take a long dirt road down to it because it's off of a lake.
Yeah.
So we had the situation of, all right, here comes a car. We have to kind of scoot over. And then my husband's super friendly. We're from the South. So he waves at everybody like, hey, I'm familiar. I'm not a resident, even though it says only residents are allowed down here, but I'm cool, right? I'm waving at you. It's good. The guy doesn't wave. He glares at my husband angrily and passes by. I'm like, I hope these people aren't going to be our neighbors. Trying to be friendly.
Yeah, that house is for sale. People are going to go down there. Yeah.
We're going to check it out. Now, we were in the radioactive tractor.
Why do you do that?
Because it's so much more fun when you go in creepy vehicles to explore creepy faces.
Stop going in
clank, 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 clank.
And that vehicle looks good. It's just the fact that it sounds
loud.
Like it's a piece of junk.
Like a tractor. I know. My son cannot wait to be driving it around town.
It's like my son driving a vehicle that only one window rolls down.
Oh, no. Ooh, the air works though, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh. Lots of things work about it. He likes it. But yeah, there's some quirks that it's like, yeah, that's what you're supposed to have at this age.
Right. You get a hand-me-down. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. It sucks for you, but that's what you get. So many, of course, on Crybaby Bridge associate the cries that they hear and the quick visions of children as being those coming from the orphanage, which makes total sense given the whole story I just gave you.
Yeah, they'd be running away.
I have more for you.
Oh, shit.
There's another legend which suggests that sometime after the orphanage had been bought by Pelham Hooker Blossom of Cleveland, that a Dr. Crow allegedly took over the building after it had closed. This mysterious figure was said to be a scientist that conducted experiments either on his own behalf or at the behest of the American government. He is invariably portrayed as a sinister figure who used unorthodox methods for obtaining his specimens, all of whom were children, of course. The theme of this story.
Who the hell wants to do experiment on children? Well, we did read about that one hospital where they were giving them smallpox vaccines. Well, I guess that's considered, it's not a hospital necessarily, more like a home. Anyways, but I don't know. You said it's just a legend, right?
This is another one that has some backing to it, too.
Okay.
However, there is no official date given for the doctor's activities, but it is said to have been around the early 1900s or just after the First World War. So the purpose of his experiments is unknown, but it involved injecting kidnapped children with fluids, which caused their heads to swell in a grotesque way. The experiments were also supposed to increase their strength and ferocity, and as the legend goes, they eventually turned on Crow and killed him, setting fire to his house, which was one of the standing buildings within the Gore Orphanage lot, which I think is funny because you mentioned earlier, like, those kids, they got him. They turned on him and set that house on fire. Well, in this story, yeah, they did. You were just thinking ahead.
Yeah, well, You would think at some point they'd band together and be like, we're getting the fuck out of here.
Right?
This is painting a picture of something like kind of horrifying, though.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying that there's basically like this little army of big-headed children that are mutants, in a sense, and that they attacked this person. So the next thing you're probably going to say is they're loose in those woods somewhere around there as well.
Did I send this to you? Yes, that is exactly what I'm going to say. Because they then all escaped into the surrounding woods.
And they just lived there like the kids in Peter Pan, you know?
Yep, pretty much just like that. Where they presumably still live. A group of beings with large heads and wide-staring eyes. They are said to be aggressive, and according to local legends, they are known to steal children for unknown purposes, but most likely to eat them. So a number of people in the Kirtland area of Ohio, and Kirtland is like just an hour away from Vermilion, they've claimed to see the Mellonheads, as they have been called. Yes, that's right. They've reportedly seen them either in the woods or peering through the windows of houses late at night. Of course, this is a recognized medical condition as well. It's called hydrocephalus, or water on the brain. Hydrocephalus often gives rise to diminished cognitive facilities, and a melon head-like appearance is the result. So, legit medical condition. However, there may still be some truth behind the mysterious Dr. Crow legend. Researcher Ryan Orvis did find evidence of a Dr. Crow who was in the area around World War II. Crow was an unlicensed doctor who was a follower of an Austrian priest and geneticist, Johann Gregor Mendel, who conducted experiments in plant cross hybridization. Ooh, I know. Evil genius. In some of the newspaper accounts, Orvis acknowledges that Dr. Crow was treating his subjects with radiation, and several other newspaper sources have pointed to the strangely large number of children's graves in nearby King's Memorial Cemetery, suggesting that these may have been those unfortunate victims from Dr. Crow's experiments. Now, we did learn our lesson earlier from the newspapers, right? That sometimes they just say things to, So there is also a slightly different version of the story, which paints Dr. Crow as a caring aide rather than a mad scientist. The story suggests that Dr. Crow had taken in these orphaned children that had deformities resulting from some type of a government experiment.
Oh, they still went with the government.
Oh, yeah.
I thought they were just going to say, like, kids with deformities, period.
That's probably more the truth, right? But this is the legend. So Dr. Crow ended up caring for these children until he passed away of natural causes. And after an accidental fire that destroyed the house, the children were left having nowhere to go. And sadly, because the residents feared them due to their deformities, the children hid from them and turned to the woods for shelter.
I would believe that one.
Yeah, I do too. That one just makes more sense to me.
It kind of does, yeah.
And since the end of World War II, there have been a large number of sightings of those referred to as Mellonheads. And guess where you'll see them, Wendy? Around Gore Orphanage Road. Most of those witnessing this phenomenon describe the same thing. A humanoid with an abnormally large head, dressed in what seems to be an institutional way, namely a torn and often blood-stained white shirt, brown, ragged button-up trousers. So whichever Dr. Crow legend has more basis in reality is hard to say, though, like Wendy, I tend to side with the caretaker version rather than the sinister one because after everything that I've told you today, I feel like the story needed someone who at least tried to care.
Maybe that's why I chose that one. It's like, everybody else fucking sucks. Let's make this guy like he cared about these kids.
Yeah, he tried to help him out, and maybe he was using radiation to try and help him. Hell, he was a doctor. Maybe he had access to this equipment, but he was at the time thinking that he was doing everything possible to help those poor kids. So it's kind of like an Edward Scissorhands story, right?
Yeah.
And he's there trying to give him his hands. He's trying to teach him things and give him a heart and all of that. And then he just croaks. And then Edward Scissorhands is left to live in that old creepy house all by himself with his, these kids just went out to the woods.
Yeah. What else were they going to do?
Right, exactly. And the whole neighborhood fucking hated him because they were mean to him.
Oh, I'm sure they already knew how rejected they were from society. So, yeah, why don't you just live on your own?
I know. Yeah, and the woods. I like the woods.
I'd live in the woods now. If I knew some woods, I can get away with doing that. And I guess if I didn't have these silly kids to take care of. But
Well, you're on the right track. I think there's some ruined orphanage site out in Ohio. If you want me to call and find out if it's still available.
Sounds a little creepy, though.
It does sound creepy. And then, the Mellonheads might be out there too. So I know.
I feel like we could get along, though, and I would care for them.
Yeah, I would give them regular food and maybe tidy up their clothes a little bit and, sing songs.
Hopefully I can, convince them of all this before they eat me.
Yeah, no, right? Yeah, definitely. That's the first step.
Yes.
Cook them a nice burger. I mean, start there.
Yeah, just have it ready. Just don't enter those woods without a meal for maybe 15
dinner
kids.
Time.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. I got something you'll really like, I promise. So the Mellonheads of Ohio was just another really strange story to add to the already compiling list coming from this particular area. But if you're still looking for more on Ohio creepiness, there is the movie called Legend of the Mellonheads.
Wow.
This movie is based on the Ohio legend and various other legends in and around the Kirtland area. Also, the Gore Orphanage was released as a movie in 2015. And it's apparently available for streaming on Amazon Prime. However, it was filmed in Pennsylvania, not Ohio. And it's a horror, and it's violent, and it's about kids. So just know all of that before you're just like, hey, Chris on Creatures of the Night told me this is... No, just realize, just take a step back. It might not be what you're looking for.
We are not responsible for you being traumatized, okay?
Right. No. Just here to tell you some good old-fashioned spooky stories. Watch those movies at your own leisure and at your own risk.
Yes.
All right, Tess, and let us know how it goes. So if you've been to Swift's Hollow, Gore Orphanage, Crybaby Bridge, and survived being eaten by a melonhead, then please write to us and tell us your story. We are at creaturesofthenight.paranormal@gmail.com. You can always check us out on any of our social media platforms and DM us if you prefer to go that route. On Facebook and Twitter, we are COTN Paranormal, and on Instagram as COTN_paranormal. There will be lots, capital L, lots of creepy Ohio stuff going up this week. And as always, loads of videos from the show going up on YouTube. So please subscribe to us on YouTube so that you never miss a new episode. On YouTube, you'll find us under COTN_paranormal. It is underscore, right?
No, I don't think you have to put an underscore.
Forget about that silly underscore. That's only for Instagram.
Unless I'm wrong, but I think just Instagram doesn't allow you to space anything, but YouTube does. Yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just COTN Paranormal.
Thank you, Wendy. Then let's just go there instead. But hey, if it doesn't work, you can always put in that underscore and give that a shot
See
too.
what happens.
Maybe we should just buy that one or whatever we have to do on YouTube just to own it too, just in case, and redirect. No, you found us at the wrong site, sir. That's silly Chris and her mouth
we'll
again.
Just put stuff on that too. I mean.
Yeah, right. Hey now.
We have enough videos.
I was going to say, can't have enough projects.
Well, there's that too.
There's that. Also, be sure to visit our shop. It's the Spirit Emporium, and it's on Etsy. And pick up a sweet Creatures Podcast t-shirt. That way, when you're out exploring these crazy urban legends, everyone will know why you're there. We told you to go. We love these legends and exploring these wild stories and places. So I hope that you were able to see how this hodgepodge of strangeness all came together to create this urban legend meets paranormal hotspot trifecta. There's just so much there, and this story is only on a teeny tiny little fragment of Ohio. There is so much more. Like I said in the beginning of the story, Ohio is creepy. So I could do story after story after story, but I digress. Anyways, just know that behind every legend, there is some truth to it, but some of those stories you might find are more strange than even the legend suggests.
They're definitely darker in a sense. Like I know, the legend is that you'll be eaten by something in the woods or whatever. Actually, there are probably things that could eat you in those woods. But I'm assuming that they're animals are really fucked up individuals. But they're probably not ghosts or some kind of demons. But the stories of the things that these kids had to go through, the story of the school, it sounds like just a bad accident, really. I mean, it was a tragic situation that I'm sure left a lot of energy in that space. Imagine it would just be residual then, just replaying that horrible moment of chaos and craziness and sadness and scared. But it was all the fault of, somebody that didn't know what the fuck they were doing when building a building. And they don't think about these safety issues when they're doing it. They're just like 4 walls, right? And put some doors and some windows and we're done. Look at me, Mom. I'm an architect.
Right.
Yeah. So it was just that easy back then. But the orphanage story, fuck. I mean, it's a horror in itself, that's like what people really did to each other. And that's what's so fucking horrible.
I forgot to load this one picture up, so I'm going to change it really fast so you can see it. But that's actually what the Swift mansion looked like back in the day, back when it was, being used as the mansion. And today, when you go to the site, it looks more like that.
Oh.
Yeah, the kids are going and doing graffiti and, Satan worshiping because you got to apparently just do that sort of thing. But, then there are also paranormal investigators that are just out there trying to connect with the spirits. But I couldn't believe how many stories connected that were about children in this part of Ohio. It was just this guy, this farmer who was actually doing well. I know that farmers had mansions back in the day, but this guy was doing so well that he was even investing money in the railroad. He's like, I just got so much wealth. I'm going to try and see what else I can do. And then his kids pass away and then he doesn't do well in the railroads anymore. And he has to move out of the lovely house that he built. And then someone else comes in and he has all kinds of shit happen with his grandkids. They all just perish right away. And then it turns into this orphanage, which is a bad situation. These people, whether they meant to or not, they ended up doing harm to these kids' lives. And I don't know if they even knew that. I really don't know what their mental state was. Like I said, the stories kind of suggested that once they lost their own children, that things, kind of got a little out of sorts for their own mental state. But
there's no excuse for how you treat other people.
That's where I am with that. You don't just take my children are dead and then take any other kid that comes up and just abuse them there's no excuse for that. And I think that they might have been a little nutty before. And, I don't know how their children died anyways. So.
Yeah, there's that. But yeah, it is really interesting how that all kind of happened in that same area. In our mindset, we want to think, what could have started all that? Is it really just a coincidence that it happens all in this one area? That's very possible. Or is there something attached to the land that was like, you motherfuckers, boom.
And it could have been, I didn't go back. Honestly, when I got to the Mellonheads, I was like, you know what? I think I can wrap up the story now. I can stop digging.
Well, you would have to go way back. If it's something like that, it's a curse upon the land or something like that that's embedded in the earth from time that wouldn't be recorded, for us to understand these days or whatever would have been back in those oral tradition days, type thing. If it even exists, I am making things up just because you want an excuse for why is it so awful in this area,
Yeah, I lean towards curse. You have secret government cover-up shit style too. It seems like that's kind of where they went with the Mellonhead story, and nothing like that was said beforehand. So I don't know, maybe there was some ideas playing around that part of town prior to all of that, and they're just like, yeah, see? Kid's head's too big. It's a government experiment. That's what's going on here. See, we told you this place was fucked up. There it is. Proof. So yeah, I don't know, but it's crazy to think that there's just so much going on in one location. To me, like I said, it was weirder that it was all about kids.
Yes.
And now you can still go out there. You don't even have to go all the way to Swift's mansion, which is, like I said, it's just a couple of stones now. There's really nothing out there anymore. Woods and a swamp. Ugh, who wants to go treading for that? Just go to the bridge. You can hang out on the bridge. Bridge is cool. Apparently, you can see some weird shit there, too. So I would suggest do like Wendy. Bring a dinner. Maybe go to Five Guys. Stop there first. They usually load up your bag with fries anyway. So there's tons to share. Who wouldn't love that? No, I don't work for Five Guys. They're not paying us, but they're more than welcome to.
No, but if they ever listen to this podcast, if you could please start offering ranch, I would really appreciate it. I know that's not your thing, but I love your fries, but I don't want to put fucking ketchup or vinegar on them. And those are your only damn choices. Can we get some gravy or something?
You and your gravy.
Yeah, like brown gravy. You have the malted vinegar, and I've only ever seen that in Canada. So if that's like your jam, then we would like some brown gravy too.
Yes, because what is it called when you put brown gravy on French fries?
Well, you got to put other stuff on it, but poutine, I think, is what you're thinking of.
Cheese. Yeah, that is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Thank you for reminding me. I've got to put that on my grocery shopping list. I haven't had that in forever, and it is so good.
I know. We haven't had it in a long time, too. That would be good.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
Coming up on our next podcast, food.
Hauntedly good food.
That's the name of it.
All right. That was a creepy story. I'm not going to tell you it's a good story. It was a creepy story. And I may have nightmares now. So.
No, just button your hatches down tight, close the windows and make sure that the dogs aren't barking at their own shadows at, hey, what are you looking at?
But yeah, well, at least if we ever go out that way, we have a game plan. Bring burgers and fries, milkshakes. I love milkshakes.
Love milkshakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
Talking about Five Guys again. Put some bacon in that shit. Yes. Game plan. Yeah. Let's do it. So, good. Ohio, one day. Here we come.
All right.
All right.
That's it.
Yep.
Bye.
That's all. Bye.